This is a big week because the entire NFL world descends onto Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine. And the biggest news that we have coming out is that Adam Schefter is now saying that the Chicago Bears are likely to trade the number 1 overall pick. So what does that mean and all the trickle-down effects of that? Basically, if you're Justin Fields, you probably feel pretty good right now because if they were going to keep the number 1 pick, you would think it would be for a quarterback.
Right, but this is all so crazy because Justin Fields, Maggie, if you put him in this year's draft field, top 4 quarterbacks in some order, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson. Where would Justin Fields go in that
Pretty
list?
high.
Pretty high.
Well,
so you're telling me you're going to trade out of him?
No, we know now that he can play in the NFL, though.
Yes, so maybe higher than all those guys. I know he didn't pass much in Chicago, but look at that offense. Who is he going to pass to? He passed a lot at Ohio State. He had an incredible arm at Ohio State.
Totally.
Now he forgot to throw in how to throw in the NFL. I don't buy that. I think Justin Fields is a good prospect. And I have a lot of friends who are Bears fans, and they're all excited about Fields. But then something happened this offseason. They were all really excited about Fields, but they all entertained the idea, maybe we should take somebody else.
Well, there's a reason why.
Okay.
And it's funny that you're seeing a lot of former general managers and people who worked in the front office are the ones who are basically saying, oh, this could be good to trade Justin Fields and take a quarterback number 1 overall. Because if you don't think the Bears are going to be a Super Bowl contender or anywhere close in the next couple of years, you might as well restart the clock if you believe in any of these quarterbacks. If Justin Fields has another season, Perloff, where he rushes for over 1,000 yards and shows that he can play in this league, guess what happens after year 3? The agent starts coming around and saying, when are we going to make this thing official and get a contract extension going for my guy? Much like what happened with Kyler Murray and much like what happens with a lot of good young quarterbacks. Like all of a sudden now they want a little security. And if you don't think you're ready to win or close to win with Justin Fields in the next couple of years, then trading Fields and taking a quarterback with that number 1 overall pick becomes really attractive.
So now you're telling me a team only gets 3 years effectively with a quarterback?
Yes.
In other words, the guy that they're drafted, say they did keep number 1 and draft Bryce Young out of Alabama, man, the clock's ticking fast. Do you think they're 3 years away from winning a Super Bowl with Bryce Young?
They might because they could at least build out the rest of the team a little bit more.
In 3 years? They're nowhere near.
But I'm not a Bryce Young person. I know we're on in Alabama, and I know we have a lot of people listening in Alabama. It's not about him as a person or anything. If I'm a general manager and if my life and job is depending on it, I'm not drafting a guy that small. Look at what happened in the NFL this year. We had 70 different starting quarterbacks. Big guys can get hurt, small guys can get hurt. But I don't trust that I'm going to have a smaller quarterback who's going to be durable. Think about the guys who are, and think about what the outlier and the exception to the rule that they are.
Who are durable?
Well, I
think Drew Brees and Russell Wilson played a lot of games. Russell Wilson, I think, was the Iron Man for a little bit.
Russell Wilson is one of those guys, but Drew Brees, let's not forget, devastating shoulder injury early on in his career that thankfully he came back from and gave us a Hall of Fame career. But these guys are outliers. Like,
what do you get with the
Kyler
big guys?
Hurt, Tua hurt. Like, it's hard to say these smaller guys are going to stay healthy.
Who are the big guys that are staying healthy besides your guy Josh Allen?
I mean, Mahomes finished the season. I know that he always is limping around.
He's not big though. He's 6'1".
Okay, but that's not 5'11".
No, you're right. But I think I'm not putting 15 years into Mahomes. The way he plays, he's going to have to contain it a little bit. Cam Newton is the biggest quarterback I've ever seen in person in my life. Everything, his muscles had muscles. He was great up until 2015, and then people started hitting him. So I don't know that there's an easy solution. It seems like your style play can help you there. That being said, Justin Fields almost set the all-time quarterback rushing record. Yeah. Can he stay healthy? That I don't know.
It's another one. So let's not forget when we talk about what the Bears should do with that number 1 overall pick. Here was Justin Fields, and he was a guest on the Barstool podcast, Part of My Take. I'm sure a couple of you have heard of it. And one of the biggest podcasts in the country.
Yeah, the biggest podcast ever. But we never really get news out of there, which was funny.
Yeah, that's not really their intention.
No, they're there to entertain and to make you laugh. But this was a big headline.
Yeah, this was a big one. So this was Justin Fields, and I imagine if you are a Bears fan and you live in Chicago, you know what this is like, what the weather is like. Fields talking about how he doesn't feel like he plays well in this cold weather was noteworthy.
I feel like way slower in that cold weather, so it's tough. But Yeah, I mean, you of course want to try to stay warm on the sideline and stuff like that, but I mean, it's hard to stay warm in that weather. Warm-ups and stuff like that, your hands freezing up, so it's tough. I hope we just get a dome. I don't care if we're at Soldier Field. I don't care if we're in Arlington Heights. I hope we get a dome on that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So that was him basically saying, like, this weather sucks. I don't feel fast in this weather. I don't feel like I'm playing at my best in this weather. Now, maybe no one feels that they're best.
Right.
But there are some guys who are known as, like, good cold weather quarterbacks. And I thought Fields was actually, well, we don't really see him throw all that much, but his ability to run is kind of exactly what you want in cold weather, right?
Oh, definitely.
Have the option.
Definitely. That seems like the ideal fit. By the way, Big Cat does break a lot of news. I can hear him finding that clip from me saying that they don't break a lot of news. They're getting mad at me. So
the
I just
new
want to
Adam
put
Schefter, Big Cat.
I just want to put, no, they break news because they do get a lot of interviews. So the thing about all these quarterbacks, they're all warm weather quarterbacks too. In fact, most of the guys that come into the draft these days are warm weather quarterbacks. Bryce Young is from L.A. And went to Alabama. Anthony Richardson's from Florida, went to Florida. Will Levis, a little bit northeast.
He's from Connecticut, went to Penn State and then Kentucky.
Yeah,
well,
so maybe
C.J. Stroud has played in the cold weather.
Yeah, but C.J. Stroud, just like Justin Fields, is from L.A. and played at Ohio State. Justin Fields is from Georgia and played at Ohio State. And he doesn't like the cold weather. So I can't, just because he played at Ohio State, I guess that's not enough to make you a cold weather quarterback.
I thought it was, but I mean, this is his preference, right? He just doesn't like the cold weather.
Yeah, but I think you need a bigger guy to play in the cold weather. So the Bears cannot have Bryce Young. That's a worse fit for Bryce Young.
I don't think that's a great
Yeah, I think him landing on that hard surface. So take him out of the mix, I would think almost automatically. So then you're looking at guys who you don't have to take number one. So what about that, Maggie? Taking a quarterback a little lower.
Well, you could have your cake and eat it too. It's possible that the Bears are sitting in a really great situation here. You trade down 2 spots. Maybe you still get your guy, whoever that is. And then, as Michael Gaylor's putting in the chat, by the way, did I mention across the country, CBS Sports Radio? I kind of got right into it. It's Monday. We're across the country in all of our incredible CBS Sports Radio affiliates, Sirius XM Channel 158, of course, the free Odyssey app. We're streaming live, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. That's where Michael Gaylor in the chat said the Bears should totally trade Fields. You get a new top round type quarterback. Plus, with the draft picks you get for Fields, you could totally put together a team that's better than what you have right now. And look at the landscape where we're talking about teams that need quarterbacks right now, and how many teams would be dying to get Justin Fields. I mean, look at Daniel Jones might be lining up for $45 million. People are falling over themselves for 1 year of Rodgers, for Derek Carr, maybe for a couple years. Stu's a Raider fan. He didn't want Derek Carr anymore. It's not like the free agent market or the trade market right now is that robust. Justin Fields would create a massive bidding war.
No, but you'd get much more for the number 1 pick.
You can get both. Like, maybe you're trading back for the number 1 pick, and then you trade back to get a quarterback, but only a few spots. And then you trade Justin Fields, and now you're just, like, drowning in picks.
I got it. I like this. I think this is what would make more sense. You trade back and get more picks. You trade from 1 to, say, 9. Say Carolina moves up, just hypothetically. Then you have Justin Fields after 2 years going to his 3rd year. You do what the Eagles did. You have a bunch of draft picks, so you can move up and get a top guy in next year's draft and give Fields 1 more year tryout, just like Jalen Hurts. We came into last season saying, hey, if this doesn't work out for Jalen Hurts, then the Eagles have a lot of draft capital. They could take a quarterback next year.
Yep.
So the Bears can keep Fields, try him out for 1 more year, because he does have a lot of upside. He's definitely intriguing. And if it doesn't work, then go into next year's draft. Don't take a Will Levis at number 9 this year and get stuck there. Don't force it. Give Fields 1 more year. I understand. You're trading them both. You're trading them all away.
Well, I mean, if I'm the Bears, I'm pretty far. So
you're pretty far. I understand what you're saying.
And even if Rodgers is leaving the division, and if you're not that scared of the Minnesota Vikings, you know, you are going to have the Lions to deal with, I guess. Maybe you feel like, listen, we're not that far away from maybe competing for our division. But, I mean, are you? I mean, you kind of are.
Well, they were, they had the worst record in the league this year, right?
Obviously.
But there were so many close games. They basically lost every close game, almost as if they wanted to lose those games to get a high draft pick. At the end, they were more committed to losing than the Texans, who really should be number 1. If you remember at the end of last year, we're like, what is Houston doing? They're blowing it. They're blowing the whole thing. I think both teams are going to be fine. I would keep Fields, trade down, and see, I think there's a lot of upside with Justin Fields. I think he would go very high in this year's draft. So why trade? Get a Will Anderson or a defensive cornerstone.
Yep.
You're Chicago. You laid it out. It's a cold weather city. Have a running quarterback. and stop the run or an incredible pass rusher.
Yeah. I was saying Jalen Carter. I mean, either you really can't go wrong there. I don't think. Jeffrey Stringer in the chat, just trade Fields. Are you crazy? Many exclamation points.
Well, there you go. I mean, if you're going to put multiple exclamation points,
you're going to get my attention.
Yeah,
all caps on crazy and multiple exclamation points.
I think that is an end argument right there.
I mean, drop the mic.